BT, we're live.
My
Production
guy,
mode. Man,
Jeremy.
a long time coming. A very long time coming.
The people have been asking.
They've been clamoring, and we're doing it, giving them what
Another,
they want.
just another, two more bros talking on the internet, just hanging out.
Hey, to give everyone context, hey, I'm Jeremy Boudinet. I'm the VP of Growth at Tesla. This is Brian Trautschold. He is the co-founder and COO of Ambition. We've known each other for 20 years. We're college buddies, fraternity brothers, end up working together at Ambition for 4 years. We've spoken at conferences together. We've fought over politics and religion together, been in the same group chats for 20 years. And we said, hey, let's go ahead and come up with something that we can actually put out into the world. So we're finally doing it. It's finally happening. So, BT, how do you feel about this? Are you nervous, scared? I know you're scared, but how are you feeling?
Well, on one hand, I feel like I have butterflies. You mentioned like the group chats and like the years and decades long communication channels about politics, business leaders, founders of other companies, competitors, and I'm like, dear God, like if that ever leaked by an angry ex-girlfriend of yours, what could happen? My life feels like it's in your hands, which is terrifying. On the other hand, no, I just want to serve our friends and the people out there because I saw a great study the other day about how much time people now spend alone online. And what I think the podcast movement is basically like dudes no longer can like hang out with each other and talk about stuff without like a device in their hand. So what we've done is we just fast tracked it. We're like, actually, we'll just get on the computer and we'll hang out. We'll just talk about the shit that we were going to talk about if we still hung out in real life.
Exactly. This is really, just an excuse for us to talk about the stuff we would be talking about, but now we have to do it.
Yeah, we're forcing ourselves to do it for for clout and possibly money, but mainly clout.
Mainly cloud. We can always use more internet cloud. So I'm psyched. I think this is going to be really good. We don't have a name for the show yet. We're contemplating one that I'm pretty excited about. Give the people, aka give the people what they want. So that's going to be the goal of this show is to give the people what they want and what they need, which is great
It's a Jeremy
insights.
classic. It's a classic. It used to make me super mad when we worked together. That was kind of like your catch-all, get out of jail free card. Like you'd do some marketing campaign or some type of event, whatever it would be, and I'd be like, "There's no way we're making money on this. This is horrible. People are not going to, react well to it from a customer or prospect standpoint." And then, you do like one of your little voices, and you're like, "Give the people what they want," and I'm just be fucking pissed off.
It's been a personal mantra for about 10 years now. So yeah, we're now just making it official. So in that spirit, what we're doing today is we're providing people with a valuable insight that BT and I are both uniquely qualified to give. And so how the show's gonna be structured every single week is we're gonna have a big topic. What's the big topic we're covering? Today's topic is tier two American cities, which I'm really excited to dive into. So we'll cover the big topic, the big question. We'll cover current events, which is going to be super important, I think, and give our takes on that. We might have some special guests occasionally. And then, of course, we have our sponsors we have to acknowledge. But the big topic today, I'm excited to dive into, BT, and it's best and worst tier two American cities. And I think you and I are uniquely qualified to talk about this. Do you want to speak on why this is relevant to us?
Well, you're more nomadic than me, but I do feel very well traveled, especially in the lower 48. I feel like I've hit whether it's tier 2/3 city multiple times through. And when you brought this up to me, what was funny is I just like did the lean forward meme because I was like, there's places I absolutely hate. And I want to share that. Maybe people will care. What I think is most fun is that I think people who live in these cities, they know They know the city sucks, or they might know the city's awesome, but they're just deeply passionate about, like, that their city doesn't actually isn't actually trash, but it is. And, like, people who know. We know.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a this day and age, cities are super expensive to live in. I've lived in some tier 1 cities. I lived in LA, frequent visitor to Miami. I lived in Fort Lauderdale, so I spent a lot of time down there. But I've also lived in a lot of tier 2 cities, and tier 1 cities are expensive to live in. And so tier 2 cities, we've seen sort of this migration post COVID to a lot of these, really second tier cities that are starting to come up and grow. And so we're here to advise you on, if you're thinking about moving to a tier 2 city, where to go and where to avoid. BT and I are ready to impart that wisdom to you guys. So BT, let's start with you, man. I want to hear first. We're going to go best first, and then we're going to go worst. So give me your number 3 overall best tier 2 city.
I thought about this a lot, and I had a little bit of like a regional um, a regional perspective, but I think the Midwest is generally massively underrated. And I don't think this is like a surprise to, normal people, but if you're on the coast, you're kind of like sleeping on the Midwest. Look at this beauty right here. This is fall. This is probably early winter in Minneapolis, Minnesota. People are like too, they're gonna overweight that it's cold in the winter. Like, who cares? Yeah, it's cold in the winter, but it doesn't matter. They have like this gopher network and like all these tunnels between buildings. It's cool. The city's fantastic. It is super clean, super nice. For me in a tier 2 city, you want great sports teams that you can go watch. They've got great slate of sports teams there, specifically our guy Ant on the T-Wolves, and they've got the Vikings. Yeah, I think it covers all the bases, and it's a fantastic summer spot, which I think, like I said, people overweight the winter and they underweight the summer season.
Yeah, my dad used to sell in the Target, so he was up in Minneapolis
There you go.
all the time. I've never been, but he loved it. He was a huge Minneapolis guy, and he talked about the tunnels and stuff keeping you
I feel like
warm.
you'd appreciate the Mall of America. To me, that's a hellscape, but I've been in there twice at least. It's like kind of a cultural amalgamation of like all of the country. It's like, what if we built the largest possible mall and then we put it in central Minnesota
Mhm.
so that no one actually sees it?
I love it. All right, so now let's move on to my best tier 2 city. This is number 3 for me, and it is Austin, Texas. Pretty chalk pick, I would say. My brother lives there. I've been there a ton. I was just there literally yesterday for an event. It's only 3 hours south of Fort Worth where I'm at. But yeah, great city, beautiful, weather's amazing. Really so much great cultural stuff to do, a tech hub. It's flavorful, the people are friendly. It's a lot of people who've escaped from somewhere else that they hated, so they're just happy to be there. The knocks against it are traffic is terrible right
It's the
now.
worst.
It's
It's
the
the worst.
worst. Cost is insane. It's going up. This is actually sliding out of my top 3 with the progression
Ooh.
it's going.
As you describe it, it's moving out. As
Yeah,
you're talking through it,
it's
it's moving
hanging
out.
on for dear life in my top 3. But my brother, he's lived there for 12 years, and his wife's from there. And he's the classic Austin guy now, who we were walking through downtown Austin probably like a year ago. And he stopped me and he pointed at a bumper sticker that was on a pole, and it said, "Don't California my Texas." And he was like, "You're damn right." He was like, "I'm so sick of the Californians moving here." So if you're from California, you might not want to move to Austin because they're not super happy about all of you flooding their town. But just FYI, this is still a great city, still a great place to live. I've been there a lot and we'll be going back a lot. Here, come
How
on.
much does McConaughey? Well, I just want to not to spend too much time on it, but you got McConaughey, you
Yep.
got Rogan, you got
Rogan.
Lex,
Yep.
you got a bunch of
Alex
other.
Jones.
Well,
Tony
yeah, I
Hinchcliffe.
guess what I'm looking for, great one. How
Yeah.
does the seesaw work? How does the seesaw work of who's adding to Austin versus seesawing down?
It is fascinating. I think that's a big thing in Austin's favor is every eccentric, fascinating person, Elon Musk, is going there. So it's just this interesting mix of sort of alternative voices and personalities from both sides of the aisle that are really calling it home. So yeah, I think that's a big thing that's in its favor that's happening right now. So that's a positive for me. I'm all about the extremes, man. So all right, let's move to your next pick. This is your number 2 pick, BT. Let me pull it up here real quick.
I tried to surprise you on this one, and I feel like you're gonna fight me on it. What's better? What's better than the nation's capital? I think it's unfairly, uh, you know, bemoaned by anyone on X at least. But it's fantastic. Like, have you ever been to Georgetown? Have you ever had coffee in Georgetown? Have you ever like just walked around the mall, which you're showing right here? To me, it's a pinnacle, great planned city.
Hmm.
Same thing with the sports teams. You kind of have to go far. You got to get down to, outside of the actual kind of like city center. But great sports. Multiple airports. If I was 23 again, I would move to DC or like Northern Virginia, and I would be like just perfect.
So two thoughts on this from me. One, this is barely a tier 2 city. I would consider this a tier 1 city. It is our nation's capital. And then two, this makes perfect sense for you as a deep state, fan and lover to be in the midst here. You just want to be amongst all the CIA and
I
FBI people.
I knew
That's
you were gonna just trash it. I knew you were gonna try to. So I tried super hard to pick a Florida city, and you have much closer ties and have lived in multiple big cities in Florida, or at least I would consider tier two cities. But I just can't. I can't wrap my head around moving to Florida. Amy, I can't handle all the people who've like moved to like they moved. It's like CrossFit. Like if someone has spent any time in Miami, you're gonna know about it. You're gonna know they bought a condo. You're gonna know that they went to Barry's and they saw so and so from whatever VC firm there. It's just like it's too much. So I couldn't do Miami. I couldn't bring myself to do Tampa. Florida, I feel like isn't even a Orlando, excuse me. I don't even feel like is a real city. Like Orlando is
Mhm.
barely like it's just a hotel hub. So I went with DC because I think if you're actually in it and you're not, somewhere else complaining, you're like, yeah, this is awesome.
Fair enough. I think DC, I mean the history, the it is beautifully planned. I can see DC as a fair one. So you're wrong about Florida though. Florida's amazing. So that's
Says
my
the guy who
my
just
take on
moved
that.
away from.
Not by choice. For work. All right, my number 2 tier 2 city, long slept on, still slept on, is San Diego. Was just there in April, just gorgeous. My gosh, like I mean, beautiful. It's all the beauty of Southern California with none of the LA riffraff. Still super expensive, I would say, which is a knock against it, but you're living the good life if you're in San Diego. If you can afford to live here, this is like pristine. They also did lose the Chargers recently, which sucks, but beautiful weather. You're right near Mexico. You can go bop down there if you want. Everyone's very laid back. They're loving life. Anchorman was set there. I don't have enough good things to say about San Diego, man. I mean, what are your thoughts? Have you been?
I think this is a wild pick. I'm frankly stunned. I'm stunned that Florida slash Texas Jeremy is picking California. I also feel like, and I've done a handful of trips there. It feels like you're in a suburb of LA. All of LA kind of feels like a suburb unless you're like kind of in truly downtown. Even the drive, you're like, oh, I never left LA. I just kind of like popped. All of a sudden, I was in San Diego, which isn't a bad thing. But it's phenomenally beautiful. It's probably one of the most. It's probably the best climate in the United States. Maybe outside of LA, it's basically the same. I can't argue with it. I don't think it's a bad pick.
Okay, all right.
I'd live
And
there.
I
I'd live there. But you,
I'd
I'm
live there too.
surprised.
If I you need a few $1 million to live there comfortably, but if you can afford it, it's well worth it. So let's get to your number one pick, which I actually have never been to. It's on my list of cities that I need to go to.
I'm
Let me
shocked by
pull it
this,
up real
but
quick. Yeah, I
look,
am.
Boston, Massachusetts. It's the worst accent in the United States of America, but it's simultaneously one of the coolest towns. And I think it actually like supersedes like New York from like a northeast kind of epitome of the United States that has this great historical kind of core of downtown. You got the Back Bay. If you're like outdoors, you're jogging, you're like going down the Promenade Boulevard there. It's just sick. It's got all of this great university density, especially like right in town where MIT and Harvard and Boston College are. Like, the thing that's funny to me is like you could like Boston and live in these little like pockets, whether you're 22, 42, 62, and like you could have, a fantastic experience. Once again, I think it has like it's maligned by folks because it's like, oh, it's cold, whatever. It's like, once again, like get outerwear, whatever. Like it's solvable problems. But it's a fantastic city. Great sports town, obviously. I think an underrated corporate America town. Like, if you want to get into financial sector, certainly a lot of our world private equity SaaS companies that are there. It's an easy like trifecta of like work, quality of life, and entertainment slash stuff to do. Good vibes.
Yeah. My question to you is, I mean, are the mass holes, is
Right.
that real? Like how bad how does it compare to the perception?
In my experience working with people there, which typically like you and I, we both lived a lot of time in sales and
Mhm.
marketing and kind of like go to market. So the mass whole thing is real. Like you're taking like even more kind of like extroverted type A personalities when you live in that world, especially for me in the sales focus. But I feel like, you get out of like the small percentage of those people who actually suck, and then everyone's super cool, and everyone is like really relatable, and they're not like New York d bags, like Boston d bags are kind of like an okay, like it's fine. We could deal with it.
I got you. I like New York D-bags, by the way. I'm actually a proponent of them. So maybe
That's
I
a
would
wild.
with Boston.
That's
Yeah.
that's another wild take.
Yeah. I'm hard to pin down, man. All right, my number one second tier American city. I lived there for 3.5 years, spent 3.5 wonderful years there. Phoenix, Arizona, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot overstate how great this city is. I lived in Scottsdale and I went to Phoenix a lot. I mean, the weather, if you hate the heat, you're not going to like Phoenix. I love the heat. I love the sun. It's sunny there 330 days a year.
I was gonna say
It's
you had the
every
best tan. I've known you for 20 years, and your skin was just radiant when you lived there.
That's right. That's right. It was very good to me. I think I lost like 60 pounds when I first moved there because it was just you have to like be in shape. Gorgeous weather. The city is very new. People hate on it because they say there's no culture, but like in a way that is the culture, which I love. It's like very fresh and new. It's a city of rebirth, of renewal.
Not a man of
Everyone had
architecture. You don't appreciate architecture, is what you're saying.
pretty much. I don't. So I don't really care. And you have the mountains, you have like God's architecture, if you will, instead of man-made architecture, which I think is better. The people have all moved there from like the Midwest, from like cold cities in like the Midwest. So they're all happy to be there. They're in like a warm climate. Everyone's friendly. The cost of living is phenomenal. It's huge. So like it's sprawling, like there's plenty of space. Traffic is easy. Dale, my gosh, like you have bachelorette parties. You're a guy, you have like bachelorette parties everywhere. You have golf. ASU's right down the street. Great place to be a single guy, I will say. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Phoenix and especially Scottsdale. It was phenomenal. It was hard for me to leave there. I left there. I moved to LA, which is like, the sort of like the polar opposite of Phoenix in a lot of ways. And I only stayed in LA for 1 year. Let's put it that way. So,
I just want to
beats,
comment really quickly. I know you want to get to the worst cities in this group, but you went Phoenix 1, San Diego 2, Austin 3. So this first of all, that's a chalk list. There's no surprises. And second, you've done a full southwest corridor, pivot, which is from for a Florida, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The
Mhm.
root, you have no roots. You have
I
no
have no
loyalty. I'm
roots.
shocked.
They're gone. So I've noticed too, you're the opposite of me. You went cold weather, Northeast, Midwest. I'm a big climate guy. So I think that speaks to, why my picks were different than yours, man. But yeah, I did go chalk here. So let's get to our worst cities, which I'm excited about. This is the controversial part of the episode. And we did not go chalk with these. I think we went pretty off the reservation with these. So let's start with UBT. Let's start with your first pick, which I need to
I'm coming
find
at your
here.
neck. I'm coming at your neck right here. The Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex. That picture
I can't believe
says it
you.
all. The Metroplex. I first of all, like if you describe the place you live as a Metroplex, like it's basically like, yeah, I know it sucks. I know it has no culture. I know it's just a uh, aggregation of roads that run into each other. There are little pockets of Dallas and certainly Fort Worth that are charming, but overall no one wants to be there. They're like forced to be there because of their job or like, their rich uncle who's part of some like oil rights company. Um, yeah, I just think it's like a place people get stuck where they have to go to work and then they're like, "Oh, I'm stuck in Plano, Texas, and I can't get out."
Yeah, I respect the choice. I've lived in Fort Worth now for a month and a half though, and I'm loving it. Here's why. I love the arrogance of Dallas Fort Worth. There's an arrogance here that I really respect. It's like the epitome of like Texas braggadocio. Like Austin's like the cool, chill, liberal, little brother, but like Dallas is like, yeah, these are like the Texas like D bags you hear about. I mean, I went to a sandwich shop yesterday in Fort Worth, and dudes walked in wearing boots and spurs.
Well,
I
see
love
that
that.
I'm so glad you brought this up because I couldn't come up with like what that is. The attitude and like the 10-gallon hat. I vividly remember I've been in a meeting where someone walked in with it like this is a meeting about buying software and someone walked in with like, you know, ostrich boots and like a hat and it's like we're in a like office park in a suburb 40 miles from like downtown Dallas, and it's like what are you doing? Where'd you come from? Like you're not farming, you're not driving cattle. None of these things are happening. Why are you dressed like this? What is
it's
going on?
I love listen, it's stolen valor, man. I love the stolen valor. I love the, like just pure all hat, no cattle, as they say. So that's Dallas, man. So
It's like you
it's a
drove here in a Lexus SUV and you look like a Marlboro Man commercial.
yes, that's exactly what I want. That's be me like by like 4 episodes from now. I'm gonna be showing up here with like a Carhartt jacket, a cowboy hat. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna have a dip in.
You're just like
I
you
can't
got like chaw. You're like throwing in a chaw. Like honestly, that's a good prediction. If we start doing predictions on this, that feels like it's like a minus 250 for happening within a
I think
3 or
so.
6.
I agree. If people want to start placing bets on that, you're welcome to do it. You'll probably win money. My number 3 pick is one I feel very strongly about. So BT and I, the one thing we share in common, we both grew up 3 hours south of this city in Memphis, Tennessee. We went to this city 15 years ago, before it sucked, and it was fine. It was a good city, good place to go visit. Now it's a hellscape. I'm talking about Nashville, Tennessee. I'm talking about basically here's my pitch against Nashville. Nashville wishes it was the Los Angeles of the South. It's taken all the worst aspects of LA, brought into the South, and created this faux culture around it where that's not even real. Like, it's like what I love about Phoenix, there's no real culture. Like, Nashville's the opposite. Nashville is this fake culture that's very surface level. It's not real. Hot chicken's not real. It wasn't even a real thing like 15 years ago. They just made it into something. The the music sucks. It's all just bachelorette parties and pedal taverns. It's insanely expensive. It's not very well designed. Yeah, and the weather sucks too. There's a lot of and there's a lot of Midwesterners that have come down. I'm just all out on Nashville. You cannot get me to move there if my life depended on it. So it's my number 3 worst tier 2 American city. BT, how do you feel about Nashville?
I'm not going to argue or counterpoint you whatsoever because I have newsflash. I have it number 2 on my bottom
There we
list,
go.
Nashville,
There we go.
Tennessee. Once again, the state capital of the state I live in. All the reasons you said are right. I think the cultural import is like a real thing. And to your exact point is like the people who were like, oh, I'm too cool for LA, or I saw the show Nashville on CMT or whatever network that was on, and I'm moving there, like, and they're from like Columbus, Ohio or whatever. Like it's both those groups came together and all started mixing together. And so it's like D-bag California plus I wasn't cool in Detroit. Like you throw those people together and now they all live in Nashville. And the people who've lived there for a long time are awesome. I think it's one of those weird things where you've got super cool locals and then you've got the transplants over the last whatever 10 years especially that give it a bad name.
Well said. I think we both sort of covered the basis of why Nashville is not it, in my opinion. So let's go to our next one. This is my number 2.
Mm.
St. Louis, man. I don't really, it's funny because I have very concrete reasons why I hate Nashville. St. Louis, I've been there multiple times and I just wasn't feeling it. I feel like if I lived in this town, I would just,
Aura's not good.
the aura is just not good. There's just nothing going on. It's like, okay, like you got the Cardinals and you got, you know, whatever, like you have some downtown, but there's no culture, but in a bad way. There's just this bland Midwest like vibe going on. And this was once the 4th biggest city in America, BT. This was the
Gateway
4th
to the
biggest city in America.
West.
Gateway to the West. And I feel like it should have more style and pizzazz going on here. It should feel like a mini Chicago, but it doesn't. It feels like this just big city in the middle of the country where everyone's there, but what are they really doing? You know what I mean? Like, what's it known for? What's St. Louis? Like, what's a cool reason to go to St. Louis? The Arch? Okay, cool. I looked at it for 5 minutes. I'm good. So I like if I never went back to St. Louis, I would be completely okay with that. What do you think about the Lou? Besides Nelly being from there, is there anything redeeming about St. Louis?
You just took the words right out of my mouth. If we lived in the multiverse where Nelly doesn't exist, I'd be fascinated to know how many people even know of the existence of St. Louis.
Yeah.
I feel like it's low. St. Louis is, you've got weird situation in Missouri where you've got the 2 biggest cities that are just on the polar opposite sides of the state, and they're both border cities basically between Illinois and Kansas. Yeah, it's I feel bad saying it because I live in places where folks think this, but it's just this prototypical flyover city that
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to unless you're meeting with the Budweiser people, who are fantastic people. They're great, great folks. But I can't I can't defend it. I can't fight for it.
I respect that take. So it sounds like we're in agreement on being out on St. Louis. All right, let's go to our number 1. This is going to be Someone's feelings are going to get hurt here. So this is your number one worst tier two American city. Go ahead, BT.
There's no there's I don't think there's a case that someone could rationally argue that Las Vegas is not the worst tier 2 city in America. It shouldn't even be a city. It is like a fake town in the middle of the desert that people set up some casinos and cheesy hotels 70 years ago. It's basically like Dubai is the same thing, and like in America, we're like, no, Dubai is kind of fake, and they're like, oh, they're just building as fast as they possibly can to like, get in while the money's working. Like Vegas is like the facade, and there's no soul, there's nothing behind it. You and I were both recently there. We've both been there a bunch for tech conferences and work stuff. Um, and it's the place where you're there for more than 36 hours. And you're like, I cannot wait to leave this place. Everyone here is terrible. It is literally one street. And there's no positives. Actually, the last thing I'll say, I'll let you defend it because it's part of your axis of the Southwest over there.
Right.
But all these sports teams moving there, it's like people were like, LA is, I'm too cool for LA, or I'm too cool to live in Phoenix. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna zag, and I'm gonna move to Las Vegas. And I'm gonna get the Raiders. I'm gonna get LeBron's gonna move a basketball team there. Like it's like a predictable zag by people who are just like, I don't want to be a medium-sized fish in LA. I want to be a big fish in the middle of a desert. Watch this.
I respect the takes. So I've got strong opinions on Vegas. Actually, I'm actually a defender of it. I do agree with you. The sports teams moving there is terrible. Like there's like the shots of the fans in those stadiums, and it's like mostly opposing teams fans is like really hard to see.
The city
But
of Oakland should invade Las Vegas.
they
They
should
should,
actually.
they
I would
should
love
mount an
that.
invasion of Vegas.
Yeah, if Oakland invaded Vegas, I would be Team Oakland in that case. But I've spent lots of time there. I once spent 2 consecutive weeks there, BT, for work, which was wild. I mean, yeah, I literally was there for 2 straight weeks living out of I stayed in 2 hotels, and I was walking through the casino every morning, and I felt like I was going insane. Vegas, and maybe it's because I don't drink anymore, I don't really gamble, but Vegas has, I would say, like a charm to it in the sense of like it's this like, you know, obviously over the top ridiculous place, and you're there, you know what you're getting into. It kind of knows what it is. It knows it's this like flamboyant ridiculous town. It's not trying to front like it has real character. It's a bad city. My brother's bachelor party was there, and the last guy to fly out took a snapshot of the Vegas Strip, and the caption just said "fuck this place." And that's what Vegas does to you, and it knows it's going to do it to you. You know it's going to happen, but you still go. It's part of like the Faustian bargain you make when you go there. So I don't mind Vegas. I like it. I actually enjoy going now, and yeah, so I'll defend it. But I can see why people hate it too at the same time.
Here's my last point. Or my last point on Vegas, really quick, is like no one wants to go. They're forced to go. They're forced to go because of a work conference, a bachelor party. They're required to be there. And by the time they get to leave, by the time they have the opportunity to leave, they're like, I'm never coming back until they're forced
Right.
again.
That's right. That's fair. Can see that living there versus visiting there is it's a different vibe for sure. All right, let's get to my number one. And I've got a story to support this. So my number one is Seattle. I've got real beef with Seattle. I've been there once. I went there for Thanksgiving, BT, for work. I had to go for work on Thanksgiving. Context, I led the Pac-12 marketing at Nextiva. We were the official communications partner of the Pac-12, so I had to go for the Washington State game, the Apple Cup. Flew in on Thanksgiving. This is 2021. Your boy, another area where we differ, your boy is not vaccinated. And back in 2021, that was a very big deal.
Thanks
And
for
I went
telling
out,
us.
yeah, I tried to go out to eat in Seattle for Thanksgiving by myself for dinner. And I was denied entry to 3 separate restaurants in Seattle because I was not vaccinated. So I went back to my hotel room and I got some chips from the vending machine and a drink and just sat there and thought about how much I hated the city of Seattle. And then the next
So
day,
this is where things went wrong for you, huh? This is the
yeah,
moment. We can pinpoint the exact moment. Thanksgiving 2021.
yeah, just sat there in the dark, just staring at a wall, just thinking about what a lost city it was. Like, this is not America. I'm not allowed to eat at a restaurant because I didn't take some vaccine that did not work. So, anyways, and then the next day, went to the game. It was raining the whole time. It was overcast. It's America's rainiest, most overcast city. No thanks. I'm out in Seattle. I think that's my take on that. So BT, feel free to support it. But what do you think?
I'm not going to argue with you. That was a great personal vendetta against
That's right.
The Seattle area. I think it's a fantastic little town. But that's just
Of
my
course you do.
take.
Of course you do. All right. So that those were our top 3 and bottom 3 tier 2 cities. We're gonna move now into what we call our idea guys section. This is sort of a like quick hit, just sort of like take on like big ideas we have that we think more people should do. I'll start with my idea, which is I think I've done it for 15 years and I wholly support it. So BT, my big idea, we're coming up towards the end of the year. New Year's is right around the corner. People are doing New Year's resolutions wrong, bro. And here's why. They're
Tell
coming
me
up with
about it.
concrete, I'm going to lose 15 pounds in 2025. Dude, no, you're not. You're not going to lose. You're going to gain weight with that kind of resolution. You're gonna become fat. You can't do that here with RFK as the health minister. So
Oh
you
boy.
need to follow my advice, which is instead of having concrete, very generic sort of ideas as your resolution, it needs to be a vibe. For example, you're not going to lose 15 pounds in 2025. You're going to bring sexy back in 2025. That's your resolution. You're bringing sexy back. Guess what? Next time you go work out, you're not like, oh, I have to lose 15 pounds. Like, nah, I'm bringing sexy back. It's a whole deal. I've done this before. I did this starting in 2007. My 2007 New Year's resolution was to bring sexy back. I'd put on the freshman 30 at the University of Tennessee. BT, you and I lived in the fraternity house. What was I doing? All 2007, I was running, lifting weights.
You First of all, my first response here is that was like a shock and awe take that you set up. And I feel like this needs to be taught in university marketing 101. This is
Yes,
a whole shift.
it is. I've continued to do it. Last year, my New Year's resolution was to be more toxically masculine, which I think I succeeded in. I won't go into detail as to why. This year's New Year's resolution was to shock the world. I think I'm accomplishing that. And then next year, I've already figured out my New Year's resolution.
Don't
It's
leak
to
it
go.
yet. Don't leak it
All right,
yet.
all right, we'll save it. I was ready
Pin
to
that.
tell you.
Pin what? Yeah.
All right.
I might need 30 minutes on whatever it is.
So that's my big idea is vibes as New Year's resolutions. BT, let's go to yours, which I thought was really interesting. Talk to us about your New Year's, not your New Year's resolution, your big idea.
Well, it's more of a big fear, and as you know, someone in our world, we go to these conferences all the time. We're in panels, whatever. You and I were recently on a panel together, which was fantastic. But uh, you know, I have a fear, and I feel this in my advancing age as I see dudes like Jensen here, or you know, like just recently Elon was on one, and all of a sudden things that like in my recent history, I'd be like, dude, I'm never gonna own a leather jacket. I'm never going to buy Jordan Air Maxes. And then I see like these dudes, like he's got black jeans on here. I see these dudes like on stage and all of a sudden, I have this like, shit, maybe I should buy a leather jacket. Maybe I
He's
do
pulling it
need.
off.
It's because they're pulling it off so well, and like Is it organic? Is it the stylist? Is it whatever? Who knows? I can't say, but I have this fear of like how the business conference attire is like a mind virus, and it is we're not like immune to it. Like I'm susceptible to it, and I see these guys, and like I said, 10 years ago, I would have been like, these guys look like clowns, and now I'm like, that leather jacket on Elon is kind of fresh. It's got some it's moving a little bit, and that's
We're coming off the last Dreamforce where I think it ended. I forget the name of the comedian, but he spent 10 minutes
oh, he crushed it.
bashing. He crushed specifically the conference attire people at Dreamforce, namely the vests. The classic tech bro sort of outfit with the vest, the button down, the khakis / jeans. We are due for a new look,
It
and
was
I
John
like.
Mulaney, to
It
be
was
clear.
John
He
Mulaney.
crushed
Yes.
it.
Yes. So I think the mantra has been given that we need something new. I kind of like the leather jacket look. Let's not half ass it. Let's go hard in the opposite direction. So I love this idea of yours going leather,
What's
black,
what
Air Maxes.
I don't want to say that I'm in. I want to say I'm afraid of that I'm becoming in. It has this gravitational pull to dudes of a certain clearly a certain age window. Jensen and I are not the same age, but all of a sudden you're like, I guess that's what I'm doing. I can't, like, to your point, you can't wear the vest anymore. You're gonna get crucified.
You can't.
So I don't know. I don't know what to do. What has to change is that you can't wear what you could wear before. Your traditional tech bro business attire is out, and now you have to dress like Tom Cruise in Top Gun. Like that might be the new thing.
All right, so it's officially out. Tom Cruise and Top Gun is sort of the new example for us in tech for what to wear. So awesome, man. All right, those were our ideas. Last topic is current events. We're going to do a quick hit of these. The people want to know, what are our takes on the current events out here. So, BT, we're going to start with you. I actually have no idea where you're going to go with this, but take it away. You're talking about tech bros buying nuclear facilities. Give it to
I
us.
just wanted to get in here before you went on like whatever just horrific political takes you're going to have about the current events, which we're still reeling from generally. But if you had told me when we got into this world, which is probably like a decade and a half ago, and you're like, by the way, you know, the tech bros that you all, see, hang out with, whatever, idolize in some cases, are going to be literally buying and building nuclear power facilities, I would have been, I certainly would have been on the side of like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But here we are. We're all like, the Google guys are financing and like basically leasing, I think, specific amounts of power from nuclear facilities. Amazon is doing the same thing. Microsoft has done the same thing. Like, imagine, looking at a picture of Mark Zuckerberg in 2008 and being like, this guy is going to hypothetically buy, one of the most complex top secret facilities in the world. Like they will do that. Meta will do that soon. So it's an amazing evolution of how these companies have become, you know, almost their own like nation states. Like they are going to have their own power grid. They're going to have, they're going to soon be building small nuclear reactors or purchasing them, which is just it's insane.
I support it. I remember I'm just gonna come out and say I remember Mark Andreessen tweeting about this like a year ago, maybe. But yeah, I love it. Nuclear energy is clean. It's good. It's way better than a lot of like solar. It's way
We
more
need more.
efficient. We need more. So if the tech guys want to run it, let them run it. That's my take on it. So you
To
as
be
per usual,
clear, I'm in. I'm in.
you're it. Yeah.
Let them buy more. And whoever is out there being like, oh no, like build, a massive acreage solar farm, those people got GTFO. Like give me a couple more 3 Mile Islands all around the country
I'm
and
down.
crank that thing up. Just turn it up to the max.
I'm in. I'm in. So, speaking of tech bros liking unusual developments in the world, I want to talk about our boy RFK, just announced as the new health czar for the United States. First of all, quick note: RFK, man, the people. He worked out at the same gym I worked out at in Venice Beach. I saw him there. He walked in there in jeans, Tiva sandals, and just a little like t-shirt, and was doing shrugs, getting after it. No Secret Service. This was about a year ago, and just love him. So America's new health czar. Bad day to be a seed oil BT. Bad day to be big pharma. People I'm very much against. I think this is a great development. Make America healthy again. The dude is obviously passionate about America's health. He's really had his own independent voice on a variety of health topics, whether you agree with him or not, over the years. I'm a big fan of this, but what is your take on this?
I'm gonna withhold my most nuclear opinions on this, but what I will say, you know what? I'm gonna lean into the positivity. I look forward to soon being able to just get, you could buy tea or HGH or you want a couple cycles. It's all at Publix. It's in the human growth hormone section hormone.
I
Why
can't wait.
why not? Wild West. Take the seed oils out, pump me full of HGH. Great. Why not?
No more seed oils, no more fluoride. It's going to be like testosterone injections. There's gonna be red light therapy just being offered at CVS. It's gonna be amazing. So I'm all for it, man. So let's go to your next topic, and this is something you're passionate about. Yeah.
I'm psyched about this, and I've been toying with this for a minute and actually trying to implement it. And look, once again, I'm operating with optimism. I'm leading with trust in what the people have voted for out there. Maybe we don't all agree. You and I maybe not always agree, but what I can agree on is like let's make some fucking money. And what I think is going to happen over the next 4 years is that my guy here, Peter Thiel, he's going to make a ton of money and he is going to get some things moving with the support of his buddy Elon and what's certainly going to be a close circle around the current president elect. And I think it's going to be wild. So I've been throwing this idea around like how you build a teal centered ETF. There's actually this was
It's a great one.
inspired by a guy on X is his name is Levels IO, and basically he had like pitched like a deadlift ETF, which was basically like if the CEO of the company is like a known weightlifter or like combat sports dude, like invest in the company. And like it's like doing phenomenally. I think it was like most recently up like 140% of the year. So like if the CEO of the public company is into like, MMA like Zuckerberg or works out super hard like Jeff Bezos, it's like just buy. Like just lean in. If they're like aggro and like super jacked, it's probably gonna work out. And yeah, I think like look at this guy. He plans on living to be like 250. He like is infamously known for injecting the blood of younger, healthier men into his body. Like he's gonna do crazy shit. It's easier to just go along.
I love Peter Thiel. I've been a long time Peter Thiel fan, and I love this ETF idea. He's a killer. He's gonna make a ton of money. He is gonna live to be 250. I'm all in on it. I want to know about the deadlift ETF too, because I totally support that too. That's a Nassim Taleb sort of vibe
Yeah.
right there. Fellow Lebanese guy. No, yeah, this is a great one. So yeah, all in on a pure Till ETF. If you start that, man, let me know, and I'm in. All right, last topic. We got a big fight tonight. Who are you taking, BT? the Logan Paul versus Mike Tyson fight, which is in your hated DFW Metroplex, by the way.
It's in the
So
Plex.
it's in the Plex.
I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I feel like you're a big. I feel like Paul guy.
Surprised. I'm not a Jake Paul guy, man. He's not. He doesn't really do it for me. I'm just gonna say I'm
Here,
not a fan of Prime. I think Prime's a terrible drink. I hate that he supports it. I don't think he has any real talent. Yeah, I'm not a fan actually, believe it. Even though I come from the influencer marketing world, I've never been a fan of him or Logan Paul, right? His brother. Nah, they don't do it for him.
I was gonna say you've been in this world, in a very big way. But here's what I'll say, and this is kind of like my, we've just been ragging on places all over the country for the I don't know the first 25 minutes of this call, but like if there's ever a moment where like the United States of America needed to be united and needed to like celebrate something together, I think that if Mike Tyson knocks out Jake Paul, puts him on his back in this fight tonight on Netflix, I think it's like the night that we killed bin Laden. I think the entire United States of America is like in unison celebrating and is like, we fucking got him. We did it. Mike Tyson. That is what we need. We need that as a country right now. So you know, I'm praying that Mike Tyson that he delivers us that this evening.
I love that take, and I think too to build on that, Tyson knocking out Paul would be part of what I think is happening in America, which is a cultural reset back to the '90s when things were awesome. And we need to go back to the '90s. I need Mike Tyson just to freaking deck this guy, just knock him out cold, give him CTE. I need to cheer him on. I need everyone has a plan until they get hit in the mouth, just out there doing his thing. Tyson's the man. So I predict Tyson will knock him out. I do you have a prediction here for that?
I'm glad you asked because I was going to try to sneak it in because this is going to, on the internet, this will live in infamy for forever. My expectation is that with like the Paul brothers, like this fight will go the full 8 rounds. Like the contract is that like Mike, don't hit him that hard. Don't hurt him.
That's a
And
good
it's gonna
point.
go 8 rounds. It'll be like a split decision, or like Tyson will win by decision. But here's what we have to hold on to. And for the next 6 hours or whatever, while I start to pregame for this, I I'm just hoping that something happens like this. I don't know if you've seen the slap yet. The slap was great. Stepped on Tyson's toe. He slapped him in the like pre-fight thing. We just have to hope that Jake Paul does something, hits him once, catches him, and you know the deep dark angry hole back in the lizard brain of Mike Tyson just flips on, and
Yes.
that thing opens up, and he goes into demon mode, and then he's uncontrollable. He just forgets that he's 58.
I think you're right. I think the first time like Paul truly touches him, that lizard brain's gonna pop up, the muscle memory's gonna come back, and we're gonna see just monstrous attack from the 58-year-old phenom, Mike Tyson.
I just
So
want to know whatever they're putting in him. I'm excited that Bobby Kennedy is going to let us buy that at Publix because I'm pretty sure we need whatever he's got going on right now. I need to be able to buy at the local grocery store
I'm with you.
without having to speak to a physician.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm with you, man. All right. Well, we are at time, so let's hit our sponsors real quick. This podcast this week and every week until we get actual sponsors is brought to you by Texla, my company, VP of Growth. If you need help business texting, if you need to text people, two-way text, bulk text, best prices in the industry, best support in the industry, best ease of use. You can get up and running in a matter of minutes. We'd love to help you. Text your customers, your prospects. BT Ambition should be using Texla. I know you're not, but you will be soon, I'm sure. Do you want to
Put
tell
me
the people
down.
about? Do you want?
What I'll say is that no one at Ambition wants me to do this podcast, and so I hesitate to tell people that. But I am the co-founder and COO at Ambition. It's a fantastic tool for driving performance for your sales organization or your customer-facing employees, whether it is coaching them, aligning them to goals and specific activities, and ultimately making them enjoy their time and be part of a vibrant sales culture in your organization. So, would love to connect for you there. We'll continue to plug them until like a some type of Zen based competitor starts paying us to talk about it, like whatever you're using today, Jeremy.
Who's your dream sponsor, BT, if you had to pick one?
The Democratic National Convention in
Son of a
2028.
bitch. SOB. All right, that's on that note, we're gonna call it here. Great first episode, BT. Pleasure. We'll be doing this every week, ladies and gentlemen. So subscribe, like, follow us, and we'll keep giving the people what they want.